Pakistan says it's evacuated around 300,000 more people from flood-hit regions in recent days after alerts from neighbouring India. Widespread flooding has devastated parts of northern India and Pakistan. India warned its neighbour it was releasing water from overflowing dams and rivers, which added to Pakistan's problems. Dozens have died in this disaster, with more than 1 million people displaced.
More than 1,000 villages are cut off. Local officials say these are the worst floods to hit the Indian state of Punjab in over 3 decades. Residents say the water rose so quickly, they barely had time to escape.
Within half an hour, there was water reaching nearly 6 meters. I barely rescued my family and cattle. Nothing else. People's houses are destroyed. Everything is destroyed.
Punjab is India's breadbasket. But the rich fields of wheat and rice that feed the nation now look like an inland sea, with harvests destroyed and livelihoods washed away. Authorities have said they fear a huge loss of livestock, the full extent of which will only be clear when the waters recede. Local communities are pleading to the government for support. Our crops are destroyed. The water took away everything, and it's still there.
We need help. We need fertilizers for sowing wheat. We need diesel. Our paddy is destroyed. Our houses have developed cracks. We are in bad shape. We request help from the authorities.
The latest round of flooding has struck Indian-administered Kashmir, submerging homes and leaving communities isolated. While India's army and disaster teams carry out vast rescue operations, both Punjab and Indian-administered Kashmir face a long recovery from this monsoon season.
Let's get more on this from Earth scientist Raghu Murtugudde, who joins us from Mumbai. Welcome to DW. How does climate change influence the frequency and intensity of floods like these we're seeing in Pakistan and northern India?
Climate change is always a factor. Everything is happening in a warmer world. In this case, there is a lot of natural variability that's combining with climate change and human actions as well in terms of releasing waters from the dam. 1988, when the floods happened before at this scale, was a La Nina year. This year is going to be probably a La Nina. Forecasts say that. Even though La Nina peaks in December, January, February, we see the impacts on the monsoon already. So climate change here is playing a role via the Middle East warming and more moisture being pumped from the Arabian Sea into these regions, including the Himalayan foothills. So it's a deadly combination of everything.
All right, so as ever with meteorology, it's complicated. It's not just that climate change is doing this. Climate change is interacting with lots of other factors. So to what extent have monsoon rains then become more extreme or unpredictable in recent years?
Definitely in the northwest India, Himalayan foothills into Pakistan. Pakistan has been flooding every year since 2010, and it's not just small floods. They are massive floods, sometimes drowning the entire country. So this region, which is arid to semi-arid, Punjab is the breadbasket of India, and yet it's an arid to semi-arid region, but it's blessed with rivers in the north, and when you have local rains and then upstream rains over the Himalayan foothills, the dams fill up, they release water, and then you create these kind of floods. So it's really, unfortunate, but there are early warnings available, and the National Disaster Management Agency is doing really much better than, let's say, in 1988.
We'll come to those early warnings in just a moment, but one of the complicating factors of this disaster was India's decision to release water from its overflowing dams and rivers. Is there a better way for India to manage its water so that it doesn't pass its problem on to Pakistan?
It's tricky, but yes, early warnings should help. Unfortunately, in this case, if you release water too early, then you don't have enough water for agriculture or drinking water after the rainy season, because you will have 9 months of dry season after the monsoon is over. So it's really difficult times for everybody. Definitely, everything is moving in the direction of improving dam management, and hopefully we'll get there quicker than we are so far.
And a quick word then about these early warning systems and their effectiveness. Are they working? Are people heeding the warnings?
They are working very well. India has invested over 500 million since 2009 to improve the computing system, the models, and the scales at which these early warnings are being issued. But they're still not at the scale of making decisions. For example, if a particular dam is going to flood, the early warnings are not at that scale. But
Right.
what we ourselves are doing here in Mumbai also in terms of forecasting floods is to take the global models and their forecast. The team here, led by Suvimal Ghosh and myself, we downscale it with AI to bring it to the scale of dams and
Okay.
farms and city streets and so on.
Thanks for talking us through that, Earth System Scientist Raghu Murtugudde. Akshay Deoras is a research scientist in the University of Reading's Department of Meteorology. Welcome to DW. What made this year's floods in Punjab so extreme compared to previous years?
So the fundamental thing is the monsoon, and monsoon brings a lot of moisture, it brings a lot of rainfall. But we did see an interaction between two weather systems, the monsoon on one hand and what we call as western disturbances, which basically are winter weather systems that bring rainfall and snowfall over hilly regions of India. So these two systems interacted in the month of August. There were multiple such interactions, and then that just caused a lot of rainfall in less amount of time.
OK, so this interaction between the monsoon and these western disturbances, is that normal? Is that usual?
Well, it's unusual for the month of August. Western disturbances would typically arrive over North India in the winter season,
Right.
even in June. Then when the monsoon arrives, they move northward, so they don't affect India. And then they come back again in the month of September. But given the fact that we have seen many Western disturbances in August this year, says that it is unusual.
OK, so are we looking at shifting weather patterns that have now settled, or are they still shifting? Are these patterns now becoming increasingly unpredictable?
Well, see, what has happened, for example, getting a lot of rainfall in less time. For example, if you see Jammu and regions around Jammu, so they did get over 300 millimeters rainfall in a day. Some places got even more than 600 millimeters in a day. That's worth the entire rainfall you get at London Heathrow in 1 year. So getting less rain, getting more rain in less amount of time is a thing that we are seeing because of climate change. And regarding weather patterns, this is basically becoming a new normal because we are seeing these kind of flooding events happening more and more frequently in this century.
I'm particularly interested in how India and Pakistan will have to navigate this problem in the future, because they're suffering the same phenomenon. One of India's answers is to release these dams and this flood water, which of course further exacerbates the problems in Pakistan.
Well, yes, that's a very good question. Because the reason there is we have got mountain regions that are shared across both countries. And it is basically mountains where you are getting a lot of rainfall, and there is a lot of rainwater that goes downstream. So coordination is very important between two countries. And it's all about better managing water discharges, because now we have got much better forecast of weather conditions compared to what we had in the past. But if you just keep on holding water for a lot of time and then suddenly release, then that is going to increase the chance of river flooding. In contrast, if you allow the water to be released in, let's say, multiple instances, then that just eases off the pressure. So I think in the near future, need to have better diplomatic ties between the two countries,
Right.
better dialogue regarding managing water resources, and better communication.
How much worse is the present situation likely to get? I see more rain is forecast in the coming days.
That's right. So we are expecting wet conditions in the month of September. It doesn't mean that it would be as wet as it was in August, but still it's going to rain. Usually the monsoon starts withdrawing from the region around mid-September, but at the moment we don't see that happening, which means that there is going to be the entire month of September when it will rain. In terms of flooding, I think it will take a lot of time for the flood water to recede because of more rainfall and given the fact that the soil is saturated quite a lot. So the next couple of weeks are definitely going to be a lot of challenging, not just for Punjab, but also for Delhi NCR, where there is Yamuna River and it has reached its third highest level in over 6 decades.
Right. Thank you for talking us through that so clearly. Climate researcher Akshay Deoras from the University of Reading.